Hey folks, Lenny Lawson, the car guru, and I just got off the phone with a state trooper, a lieutenant. And no, I am not being arrested that I know of. I am inviting a state trooper to come and speak at my teen driver event, which is next Tuesday, 6 till 8 p.m. That's Tuesday, the 24th. If you have a new driver, a teen driver, or somebody that maybe has been driving a little bit but don't know anything about cars, they will when they leave this event. They'll probably know more than you do, as a matter of fact, and we're going to talk about safe driving, avoiding nasty things like road rage and lawlessness on the highways. You know, some of the worst teachers in the world are parents, not because of what they say, not because of their intentions, but because of what they do and the way they drive. Dad, you're speeding. No, I'm not speeding. And then, they slow down. Mom, you're using your cell phone. Well, I had to just send a really quick message. I thought you said you weren't supposed to do that. No, you're not supposed to do that. Do as I say, not as I do. Now, play with your video games. Yeah, I confess, I'm guilty of some of those over the years, not setting a good example. My granddaughter, Ivy, she's like a speed cop. If she could write tickets, I'd have plenty of them. She sits in the back and says, Pop, you're speeding. Speeding again. Speed limit's 55. You're going 67. Those doggone digital speedometers. They're just so out there, and she can see them from the back seat. You know what the problem is? It's those big infotainment screens. All they want to do is, the manufacturers want to do is make them bigger, and then your back seat drivers can see everything you're doing. So it's not right, but it is right. We need to be reminded, don't we? Can kids teach you things? You bet. My grandkids teach me things all the time. They teach me how wrong my priorities are many times. So we're going to try to correct a lot of that. I hope people don't call me hypocritical because a lot of these kids don't know me that will be coming to this event. But I'm going to teach them the right way. It's not just me. I've got my service manager is going to be involved. He's very good, very smart, very articulate. I've got a couple service advisors, same thing. They're going to be pointing out things to your children, your grandchildren, your friends' children, if you can get them here. You've got to call the dealership, okay? 423-639-5151. And tell them you want to register for the teen driving event. We're going to do the first one on Tuesday, March 24th, and we're going to do a second one on Thursday, March 26th. Where, you ask? At my dealership, of course, Gateway Ford and Gateway Nissan in Greenville, Tennessee. We're just, 25 miles from Johnson City, 40 miles from Kingsport, 30 miles from Morristown. And if you're a podcast listener, you're out of luck. We could videotape it, though. That could be a good thing. We could post that on YouTube. I just had that idea. We could videotape it and put it on YouTube and send it to people. I think I'll do that. Good idea. And speaking of good ideas, we had a meeting yesterday afternoon. We talked about this event, and several of the participants in that meeting are mothers. And we really need to listen to our mothers. They have all kinds of good input. I think dads do too, but it's from a different type of perspective. When a lot of dads, they are the ones that handle most of the automotive-related issues in the household. And one of the things that dads could do would be to involve their teenagers and their young children in just simple things that have to do with the vehicle in the driveway. They get them to help in the landscaping and to help painting and mowing the yard and stuff like that. But when it comes to automotive maintenance, most dads don't do it anyway. They don't check the air pressure in their tires. They wait until the next oil change, and then they're wondering, well, why did those Michelins wear out so fast? I thought Michelins were great. Well, they are great, but you got to put the right air pressure in the tires, folks. So, dads, we need to teach our kids. If you can't make it to the team driving event, then there's certain things that you just need to do. You need to show them. You need to raise the hood on your vehicle. You may have never done that. And find where the oil dipstick is and tell them how to check it. And also the transmission fluid, if you don't have a sealed transmission. The windshield washer solvent, the coolant overflow tank, the power steering fluid, the brake fluid. Show them where those things are. And get you a penny, just a regular monetary, a penny with Lincoln's head on it, and show them how to measure the tread depth on their tires. Oops, my alarm went off. Show them how to measure the tread depth on their tars, as we say around here. If you can stick Lincoln's head down in the tread, and if you can see the top of his head, your tires are worn out. If you can't see the top of his head, you've got a little tread depth left. You might be able to go a little bit longer unless it's winter time. But it's things like this, like where are the tire pressures or the recommended tire pressures for the car? Well, why is it important? Because your tires wear out and the car won't handle as good if it doesn't have the right pressure in the tires. Where is the pressure? It's on a little placard or a little sticker inside the driver's door jamb. What's a door jamb? Well, that's where the door closes up, okay? And if you open the door, you'll see it. Sometimes it's in the A-pillar. What's that? Well, that's where, below the windshield. And sometimes it's on the B-pillar. Is that a B-pillar? Yeah, that's the B-pillar. And you see the sticker? So it says 35 pounds. That's what's recommended. And then you show them how to check it. You get a little gauge. One of those digital gauges is better. I bought one at, I think it was AutoZone. It was like $12. Cheap, digital, electric. You got to put batteries in it. Or you can just get one of those little sticks, it looks like a pen, and you put it over the valve stem, and it pushes out this measuring stick that has all kinds of little marks on it, and it says 10 pounds, 15 pounds, so forth. I like the digital ones better because I think they're more accurate. So, these are things that you need to do for your kids since you can't come to the Gateway Teen Driver event. That just sounds like something a car guru would do who's nearing retirement, which I'll never retire, but nearing some kind of a quasi-work retirement relationship with his business. But yeah, I'm really concerned about kids. I really am. Because what I'm seeing is not good. And I do not blame the schools. They're doing all they can do. They're just trying to make up for what the parents don't do. I don't mean to be accusatorial here, and many of you are doing an excellent job, but a lot of you aren't. And I truly believe that if you are not involving your children in the maintenance and care and understanding of their automobile, you are leaving off a whole lot of important information. And that also goes along with the financial aspect of the automobile and how to determine whether you can afford a vehicle or not. It gets into family budgeting, individual budgeting. They learn a lot of this stuff, I guess, when they get out of school, get out of college, and then they start trying to make it in the world. And I believe that's why so many young people that I see have terrible credit ratings because they don't even, what's a credit rating? Who puts this information together? They're spying on me. No, it's just your behavior gets recorded and the kids don't understand that. And so they come out of the ether later in life when they start to have some money, but then they have rotten credit and they can't get a car financed at 0%. No, they got to pay 16%. because of their past behavior. Takes a while to fix that. Some people do. I've seen some people start off poorly and end strong. They learn the lesson the hard way, and that's sometimes the best way to learn. Okay, I'll take my first break. Be back here in just 1 minute. Well, you sure do know how to offend people, Lenny. Well, I'm sorry, but sometimes you got to say the hard things, even to your kids. Yeah, I really think it's important for kids, even girls. Now, that sounded misogynistic. To learn about the lawnmower and how it works, like electrical things. Why don't we just teach boys that stuff? Girls need to know too. I taught my girls. Abby just changed a bunch of light switches in her house. Not just the covers, the switches. And, she knew that she had to turn the power off and how to test it. And I just think, she's a single mother and she needed to know how to do that. And change the toilet flusher mechanism. It's not rocket science. I mean, when I first got married, one of the first things I did was order the Time Life books on home improvement. It was a whole series. I subscribed to it. I ended up doing sheetrock work. I learned how to tape sheetrock and fill it properly. Boy, that took some practice. To where you could paint a wall and not tell. I wish the guys who had built my Nissan dealership had gotten the Time Life books on hanging sheetrock and filling it. They had to come back like 3 times. Once I knew how to do that, I knew what to look for, and I got pretty particular about something like that. But that's the way you need to be. When you're working on people's cars at a car dealership, they turn over their $80,000 investment to you to do some major operation to it. They want you to be particular. I know a lot of parents that they see no hope for their kids to be particular. But I think that it's because they haven't been exposed to enough over time. It's all about soccer and dance and volleyball and all these other things that aren't going to, maybe they do some good in their life and developing character. But I think they need to learn practical things. As I said not too long ago, send your kids to shop class. Girls included. Make sure they know how to change the oil on a car, replace spark plugs, understand electronics, understand how mechanical things work, how things are built, how to build a 2x4 wall. That's good stuff, Too many people go through life and they don't have a clue how that stuff happens. And then when they need to know, when it's really important, they're just lost. They have to pay somebody else to do it. And then somebody else does it, and they don't know how to check whether they did it right or not. Speaking of which, I had the oil changed in my F-150 the other day. It's my dealership, right? I should be able to assume that they put enough oil in it. But as I've said many times on this show, you never trust the people who are changing your oil, that they put enough oil in it or they didn't put too much. So I got home. I let the vehicle sit for about 30 minutes, went back outside, opened the hood, pulled the dipstick out, wiped it off, stuck it back in, pulled it out again, and looked to see where the mark was. You know where it was? It was just a little bit over full. Not enough to be concerned about. Now, if it had been like half a quart over full, I would take it back to the dealership, make sure that the people knew it, and drain that extra half quart out. Because too much oil can cause the oil to foam up, and you lose protection of your metallic parts in your engine if you have too much oil in it. That same principle applies to your lawnmower or to anything with an internal combustion engine. Too much oil can be as bad as too little. This is important to know. For example, if you have too much oil in your engine and all of a sudden your engine starts making some strange knocking noises, you take it to the dealership. Your vehicle's still under warranty, right? So they pull it in, they evaluate it. Way too much oil. It's not covered, and you do need to have an engine rebuild. You've damaged your engine, but it's under warranty. Not for this. Self-inflicted wounds are not covered. Important to know? I think so. So another cautionary tale: had a customer come in day before yesterday, had purchased a vehicle at another dealership. They wanted to trade it. They didn't like it. They'd only had it 6 months. You think they went on a test drive when they bought it? You think they maybe just didn't think about the purchase long enough before they made it? Because this is a tough one, folks. When you buy a new vehicle and you decide you don't like it and you take it in 6 months later, unless you paid significant money down or had a paid-for trade-in, you're going to be upside down and you're going to be carrying some negative equity over to your new purchase. They didn't care. And so we pulled their credit. Everything's fine there. We called to get their payoff. Not great. Their payoff was more than the actual cash value of the vehicle, which is expected. And we said, well, do you have your contract? What other products did you buy? What do you mean? Did you buy any extended warranties or gap insurance or anything that's cancelable? And they said, well, we didn't buy it. They gave it to us. Uh-oh. So you thought that you didn't pay anything for these products. Well, you did, because most car dealers do not give away extended service contracts or gap insurance. So let us see your contract. They showed us their contract. Oh, yeah. They paid for them. And they were upset because they thought they were included. That's what the finance manager, the crooked finance manager, told them. Good thing was, though, that it was cancelable. All the products that they bought were products that could be canceled. If somebody buys a new vehicle or used vehicle, but mostly new, though, and they buy like paint sealant and fabric guard and some other types of protection packages, those puppies aren't cancelable. The dealership makes that profit. It's not an insured product like gap insurance or an extended service contract. Those are cancelable. However, some dealers are very reluctant to provide refunds on those because it's got to come out of the finance guy's pocket and the dealership's pocket, and especially if you're not trading with them, they will drag their feet in providing those refunds. But you don't have to put up with it. You tell them you want it canceled, you go there and sign the paperwork, and you ask them, how long will it take to get my refund? And get a commitment from them. And then if they don't make it on that particular day, you call back. Don't let a bunch of time go by, because more than likely your cancellation request hasn't budged from the finance manager's desk. He doesn't want to send it in. You know why? It affects his pay plan. Well, that's rude. It really is. So the next person you contact is the general manager of the store or the office manager. You know, I've found that when I have a dispute with a dealer or I can't get somebody to call me back, I'll just ask for the office manager. Why do you want to speak to her? Well, I have an issue with the office. I need to speak to the office manager. And then I talk to her, and they don't put up with any, you know what. They're all about processing paperwork. They have deadlines. They're usually ladies, females. They're efficient. And if somebody doesn't cancel something, you know, it kind of makes them look bad too, even though they didn't have anything to do with it because it never hit the office. The office will cut the check, but if the finance manager doesn't do the cancellation, they're not going to cut a check. And they don't like to have to go out of their office and solve problems that somebody else created. So first choice is the finance guy. Second choice, maybe the general manager, but I would go to the office manager. I really would. This is an insider tip from a car dealer with a twist. I'll be back in just 1 minute. Okay, well, some good news. The stock market is plunging. Well, that's not the good news. The good news is that your used car value is soaring like an eagle. And the most important thing that you can do right now, well, if you're in the market, well, even if you're not in the market to trade, take care of your car, clean it up, don't go through the car wash it by hand, wax it, make it pretty, clean your leather and then put leather treatment on your leather. Just do all these things. Wash your windows occasionally. And you should do that on a regular basis, but especially if you're getting ready to trade cars. Make it look good. Get somebody to detail it. If you spend $150 with somebody detailing your car, you'll get a lot more of that back when you take it in to trade it. I can guarantee it. Because one of the most expensive or the most time delaying things that a dealership has to do is to get cars detailed before they hit the lot. And if somebody pulls up in some pristine vehicle and the windows are clean and the interior is in good shape, then that makes the used car manager feel more comfortable putting more money in that trade-in. Not just because of cost, but because his perception is, hey, these people take care of their vehicle. I can stretch a little bit on this one. But please make sure that they're paying you enough for your vehicle. If you're not sure what your vehicle is worth, send me the VIN number, the condition, the mileage, the options that it has on it, and I'll give you a really good, solid figure that you can take into the dealership and count on, because unless you live in Wyoming, if they don't give you that for it, I will. I'll write you a check from my dealership in Greenville, Tennessee. How's that? Well, thanks for listening to this edition of My Car Guru. I'm always available, 423-552-2020. It's my only cell phone. And if you text me, I'll get back with you. Or you can send me an email to LennyLawson2020 at gmail.com. And I'll see you on the next edition of My Car Guru.